So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is 9 a.m. Pacific time, Tuesday the 30th. We've got one more day of the month before we move into the second month of the year already. So a friendly reminder to make sure that you hit your 500 points. You want to keep yourself in the running for all of the incentives that are available throughout the course of this year. And that they typically will require, I don't know of any of them that don't, 500 points of retail sales each and every month. So keep yourself in the running for that. There is always time, even if it is the 11th hour. It's remarkable, isn't it, what gets accomplished in the final few moments of any given task when there is such an awful lot that can be received as a result. So keep your fires of hope burning bright in this last day of the month and do all we can to help ourselves get across the finish line. I want to talk today about this wonderful weekend that has just been and gone. I arrived home last night, later than I was hoping to do. My flight got delayed by about 6 hours. I was sat at the airport for about 8, waiting for my flight, which was not much fun. And the jet lag has been furious as well, of course, with me being 7 hours ahead of the time zone I was in this past week. But what a tremendous experience it's been to, well, first of all, to be with my team members. To be with those that came along to the event, that participated, those that spoke. I've just realized I didn't mute all, so bear with me. Those that spoke and trained, we had some incredible experiences and insights, educational, informative, inspirational, and I guess I want to touch on some of those key messages today. And I want to start by having those that were in attendance begin by sharing some of their experiences first. So let's see who we've got. I saw, well, Michelle, let's turn to you first. Michelle Kowalchuk. You both attended and you spoke. So from both perspectives, tell everyone that's on the call today some of your experience.
Thanks, Ben. Why did you pick on me first? You know what? It was a great event. I love the smaller events because they're so intimate. We get to know each other a little bit better. Had a lot of time to spend with Valerie Johnson, which was really awesome. We got to know each other a little bit better, which I think is cool. That was really important to me. Getting to know the other Team Kaizen members was really, really awesome as well. Building those relationships. And I kind of touched on that. When I came to the event and I had asked if I would speak, I had no idea what I was going to talk about. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go with the flow. And when the inspiration hits me, then I know what to talk about. I didn't script it in any way. It was just coming from the heart, basically, and feeling the theme of what was going on. So, you know, this was the first time I wasn't nervous getting up. I don't know if I appeared nervous, but I didn't feel nervous, which was really good. And I've been told in the past that if you're not nervous, you're not focusing on yourself, you're focusing on others. And I think that's a key point in whether we're speaking to the public or whether we're on a one-on-one. Focusing on others is the key component. I loved some of the presentations. Gary Lindner, for sure, was great. Dr. Melanie Caldwell, her presentation, the information that was given was really, really awesome. And both of those can be used very effectively for in-home presentations. I highly recommend it. And I do believe they are going to be available for everybody. You had said something, Ben. You were talking about a fellow who took a trip on a ship and how he was too afraid or didn't feel he was worthy of tapping into the whole event. And something had happened to me during this event, and that message came very, very clear. And I thought, no, I'm going to tap into this whole thing. And I did, and that was very, very rewarding for me. So thank you. You never know what little tidbit is going to make such a profound difference in either your life, the way you do business, how you talk to people, how you build those relationships. You just don't know what you're going to get out of it. And I'm very, very grateful that I had the opportunity to attend this event.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. And I'll tell you what, it did not look at all like you just let it looked just natural when you got up and spoke and shared from the heart that way. Just let the energy flow. Very authentic message, Michelle. And what a great experience that was for us to be able to see you just get up there and talk as you did and affect each of us. That was really, really inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you.
You did. Barb Satterwhite, can I ask you to perhaps unmute your line and share with us some of the things that really struck you at the event?
Well, I've had laryngitis the whole 3 days, so
No.
I think I've got my voice back today, most of it anyway. But that's why I still have all my gadgets on.
Yeah.
So didn't want you to see the video, but I'm here. Yeah, it was awesome. And at least I had my voice to get through my presentation, and then I lost it, which was hard because I wanted to talk to everybody. But again, it was one of those times when all of us came together, and we had some obviously wonderful presentations with Gary Linder's presentation, Mike doing his usual clarifying that whole business presentation and the focus that we should take. Rick giving his input also. I think the other big thing for me was it's always wonderful to hear and see everybody and know what people are doing. But the Platinums and above had the privilege of meeting with Kurt, and what was neat about that is that you could see that Kurt wants input from the field, and we had a brainstorming session. And I think then what was also very powerful was you pointing out that those of us that are involved, the leaves left on the tree basically, we need to give ourselves credit because of our being there, our being involved, our initiative to go forward. And things really are different. And for me, having the teams there that I had and the enthusiasm for them to meet all the others and hear that vision. So in a nutshell, it's always worth being at these events for, like Michelle said, to just network with all of the leaders. And of course, for me, I got a day of skiing with Dave Johnson. Maybe that's why I got my laryngitis. I don't know.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think I like that you raised that point about the opportunity that the Platinums and above had to sit down with Kurt and provide feedback. It was great that he established that himself, that he pulled us in, and he was the one leading that, asking the questions. What can we do? How can we better serve you? How can we get better results? What needs to be done? And for those that weren't there, one thing that I emphasized just in that meeting that Barb referred to was there are different stages in the life cycle of any business. And in a startup phase, for example, there'll be a certain type of energy and a certain level of result. In a network marketing environment at startup, there's this hyper kind of frenzy that takes place, and it can be very fast, very exhilarating, but it isn't sustained. And it would be unusual for us to expect that to be sustained. So there are always going to be these waves, aren't there? These cycles of growth and maturity, maybe a bit of decline, maybe a turnaround up and down. And every business kind of goes through that process. And for those of us that want to have a long-term residual income in a network marketing environment, we've got to be willing to ride those different waves and patterns throughout the course of our business and have the ups and downs. But like I said, it takes a certain set of skills at the beginning. In a mature market where it's established, it's another set of skills. There are people in multiple industries that specialize in mergers and acquisitions, turnarounds, where they'll come in where a business might be at that end of their cycle, and they'll come in there and say, this is where we perform best. And they'll turn it around, or they'll do whatever it takes to get the growth up and to make it profitable. They specialize in that. And I've heard it said many times that it takes a certain set of people to develop $100 million business, it'll typically take a different team, a different set of people to develop $1 billion business, because it's a different life cycle, it's a different set of skills, different insights, experience, vision, and so on. So my point was that it's really important, whichever stage of the life cycle that you're at, if you are wanting to have a bit of a turnaround, if you felt like you've been in a trough, so to speak, to recognize that there is a skill set required. And the patience, the determination, the effort that's being put forward there should be applauded and recognized and acknowledged, versus, as what we were talking about in the previous, if you remember that call that Mike and I did the other week, where I famously forgot to hit the record button, where we said we've got to differentiate between our business and us being the CEO of the business. And that way we don't personify the business. We can look at it more objectively and not feel like we are the problem if it's not going the way we want. So I think that's important to re-emphasize again, Barb. So thank you for bringing that up. Now, I also saw on the line here, let me see, where is she? Sherry Danzig. Let me see. Do you want to unmute your line, please, and share your insights? And I'm
sorry that all you're seeing is a big giant camera icon.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm on my computer and my camera's not working. I'm trying to. Sorry, I have a dog going crazy. I can certainly ditto what has been shared. Those were great highlights for me. It was a great honor to go to lunch with Kurt and the Team Kaizen and Pat and Jeff. That was a lot of fun. And to me, and I heard other people say this, that I'd never been to this event before. So it was the first time of feeling I don't know, I'm comparing it to the San Antonio event, and that was an intimate group. This was a more intimate group. So, it really did feel like the team was all together. And even when, during the Platinum meeting with Kurt and everyone was sharing, there were certainly some passionate cries of what we need to do. But I really did feel like there was just a great focus. I think what I heard loud and clear from Kurt and from other people speaking was the importance of us really getting back to sponsoring, and comparing with what is going on in Latin American countries. And I think maybe there's been such a focus on, retail sales and having this regional program, so that, as a group, as a team, we need to really step up on speaking about the business. And I'm excited about the new tools we have. I think what Gary has provided is absolutely brilliant. And I think the PowerPoint that we now have, this business presentation, and the Saturday, once a month on Saturday to go over that presentation is a great tool. And I'm very excited about what was promised to us, was that we're just months away from having a new website that's going to support that as well. So that's really, really big news, because I think that all of those things are going to help. And the biggest thing is having that spirit as a team and our focus. And I love the Eagle presentation. I thought it was just to me, it kind of brought back the nostalgia of, the history of who we are as a company. So I loved all those parts.
Excellent, thank you. And for those of you that haven't been to one of the Salt Lake events, the Eagle Award, I think, is perhaps one of the most honorable, prestigious awards that can be handed out. This is an award that is really, it's peer selected, so it is distributors that choose the winner, and it's someone that represents integrity, commitment, loyalty, all of those honorable attributes that are often represented in the Eagle. The Eagle is, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but it's kind of a neat metaphor that when the storms come out, most birds go to find shelter. whereas the eagle comes out to fly and will soar above the storm. And I like that. I like that metaphor, that there is great strength in the eagle, that he faces the storm and rises above it. And of course, the eagle has been a symbol across generations, going back millennia, isn't it? For bravery, for courage, for honor, for nobility, and what have you. And so this Eagle Award, and you may have seen the pictures of Linda Morris, who was the wonderful, honorable recipient of it. This is a statue of this, I'm not sure if it's made of bronze, but I know it weighs an awful lot. Eagle is just tremendous. So it's delivered at the end of the event, and to me is one of the highlights each and every year. Ken Hankins always delivers that presentation, and he's the one that gets the trophy made as well at his own expense. Very generous of him to do that, and he ships it to the person's home because it's going to weigh so much, again at his own expense, to acknowledge their service and contributions to NECAN. Really tremendous.
Ben, if I can just jump back in for 1 second, I wanted to give a shout out, and Jeff talked about this, of what Barb and her team did. That was such an inspiration. And at the very end so when Barb spoke, she was sharing, she had her team come up, all 6 legs that were there, or all 3 legs and 6 people, I guess is what it was more accurately. But she had, at the very end, they winded, what's the word?
Unfurled.
They unfurl, okay.
Yeah.
Their own, a team. It was representative of their team, their group. And it was such people just went crazy. And I think that Barb, I hope you'll post that on, as many places you can that other consultants will see it. And I think it would be really awesome to recreate that, to duplicate that in Orlando. I, for one, really want to bring that back, to my team. And because I think that has such power in how we work, from just an inspired place. So I love that.
Yeah, excellent.
I'd like to share, thank you, Sherry. We've talked about team participation, and obviously that's a key. And it was really the team that got excited about this. And that's what's so powerful, is just to be able to have them have the excitement. And coming up with the banner was Melanie Caldwell's idea, actually. So it really does help you gel. And what I'm saying here is that because I had 6 people there and they heard all of you, they're on fire now, and it just really will help me forward that. And I think I just have to say real quickly, the way we came up with A team, my maiden name's Armstrong. Melanie Caldwell's maiden name is Armstrong. In fact, her mother was Barbara Armstrong, and her first silver is an Armstrong. So we decided everybody else will put an A in their name if they don't have it.
I love that. I think wonderful team spirit. And one thing that we've all got to appreciate, if we want to succeed in network marketing and have the privileges, the advantages, and the benefits of the network marketing engine, which is the residual income, the machine that keeps on moving even when you've gone to bed and gone to sleep, which is what doesn't happen in conventional employment. This is why we pursue network marketing, right? Because it gives us something that will keep on ticking when we need to stop and rest. And if you want those privileges, we need to be able to build teams. It is the teamwork that makes everything else work. So I think that's really important. So the more we can emphasize that, learn to tap into that, be a part of the team, come to where the team meets. Veronica Ampudia, who is Diamond in Latin America, we all know her, we all love her. She's been on a few of our calls as an inspiration from Mexico. She attended a UK event via Zoom as a guest speaker a little while ago, and she was asked, one thing that she referenced was when she was new in the business, she went to Gloria Nava. Gloria Nava, if you don't know, was the first royal diamond in Mexico. She is like the grandmother of that country in our business. Yeah. And she's a wonderful ambassador of success, of doing things the right way, of just a wonderful, wonderful leader. And so she went to Gloria and said, if there was one piece of advice, it's always interesting, that question, isn't it? Because you've really got to prioritize all of your lessons. If there is one piece of advice that you could give me as someone new, what would it be? And she said, and Gloria said to her, go to everything. Go to everything. Attend all the meetings. And so she did. She started attending all the meetings. And she said, but there was one thing that I found was I didn't feel comfortable at all of the meetings. She said, I'd find myself sitting at the back. She said, because sometimes the Mexicans, they're very flamboyant. They like to, there's a different energy. They like to dance and move around, very energetic. And she said, and that wasn't naturally my comfort zone. That's not me as a person. And she said, so I'd attend these meetings and I wouldn't always feel totally comfortable. And she said, and so one day Gloria, but interestingly, she was still going. Isn't that interesting? So she was still there. She said, and then Gloria came over to her and said, you're not enjoying this, are you? And she said, I'm not. And they had a little discussion. She explained why. And she goes, okay, fine. Create your own meeting. Have your own. And I thought, what a wonderful solution. A lot of people would say, oh, I don't like that, so I'll just go away. But that wasn't the solution. The solution isn't to walk away. The solution is to remain a team, create your own. Build your own event, create your own. And as a consequence of that, I use it as a key milestone. I've not been in the field half as much as Mike DiMuccio, anywhere near. But Mike and I went out there last year when she was just a platinum. I think that was a significant stake in the ground, that event, in my opinion. When she said, come along to this event, I'll put one on, come and speak. And she got well over 600 people in the room. I think closer to 7, maybe even more, 100 people at that event that she put on. And what a game changer that is. And as a result, the following month, she's moving on to Diamond. But she followed the counsel. She followed the counsel. But yeah, so great, fantastic. Thank you, Sherry. I think that's, and Barb, really good point. One of the key benefits of these events is the sense of team community, belonging somewhere, isn't it? That's what I love. I always asked at the meeting, why did I join NECAN? What was in it for me? And it's the people. I can't help but come back to that. I love the philosophy. I guess I joined for the philosophy. I joined because I love humans being more. I love that principle. I believe if I can't wear my heart on my sleeve, I can't do it. Yeah. So for me, be able to teach people about humans being more, the 5 pillars of health, and how to achieve that, how to get that balance and get the most out of their lives and feel a sense of abundance and purpose. That to me was the hook that got me in. What keeps me in is my team. It's the people that I'm surrounded by that I just love, that I look at and I see your faces on the screen here, or I see you in person at the events and we talk one-on-one. And it's the people, isn't it? It's the community that keeps us connected. I want to quickly answer a question before I go on to the next person. And I apologize, Mike. I'm going to finish with you, but I'm mindful that you've perhaps got the most to say, and I've given you the least amount of time. We might need to have a separate call on our discussion on this. But Kathleen Saunders, just from the UK, quickly, just in answer to your question. What did Gary Lindner provide? A number of people have referenced this. He's got this incredible presentation about self-care that he delivered. It was about 45 minutes long, and it includes, Gary Lindner is a doctor of physiology, so he comes at it with great authority, but he's got a wonderful gift of being able to, I heard it said once that simplicity is at the far end of complexity. And he's got a wonderful gift of being able to take something very complex, like physiology, and translate it into something very simple for the layman to understand and appreciate. And that's where the self-care presentation that he delivers is really so powerful. And he shares, of course, some fascinating statistics and a number of different video clips that support his message. I will I am going to reach out to him, and I guess I'm saying this publicly, but I'm confident he's going to say yes to be a guest speaker at one of our UK events, and maybe we might have him participate on one of these calls where he can deliver it again, and we can get it, because it's just worth listening to over and over and over again. I'm not sure if it's on YouTube, Kathleen. But he also, Bob Joseph did say he does have the 11-minute video and a booklet for sale at Magnetic Leaders. So there are some tools available there that support the message that he's got. So Magnetic Leaders does have that booklet available if you want to go there to get that. So Mike, if you want to unmute, I guess there are multiple different places you can pull from. One point I'd like to ask, perhaps directly, you and I had the chance to have dinner privately with Kurt on Saturday night at the conclusion of the event, and I guess got to feel his personal vested interest in the future success of the Niken business. Maybe that's a nice place to tap into. Maybe if you want to share a thought on that, maybe any other thoughts from your end, your perspective.
Yeah, no doubt. In fact, it was reiterated by Jeff Isom, who was also there with us at his prime directive, where we're concerned is our profitability, which should be fairly obvious. If we're going to be able to campaign this and continue to campaign this, whether we are a politician or whatever, you need funding, you need resources. And one of the things that we break this down into in our business model, and why everyone should consider a distributorship or a consultantship, is because it's a vehicle through which they can fund their own healthcare. This is their healthcare plan, and it's self-funding. So I like what Gary Lindner said in a conversation I had with him on the sidebar. He said, if you understand self-care, being healthy by choice, then it's a natural extension to consider being wealthy by choice. So that's kind of where our business model kicks in. But even from a consumer perspective, or the idea that here's a way for people to fund their own healthcare program, so that it's really not out of pocket, just by doing the obvious, recommending something that's in everyone's best interest. The idea of I just want to add the kernel of reproduction in the human system, of course, is the reproductive system. So every human being comes into the world with the possibility of reproducing because it's inherent in our makeup. And so the Niken business is that as well. Within it is the kernel of an idea to reproduce and create the ongoing legacy, the continuation of the species, if you will, or the continuation of the message. So that's another way of looking at why it's so important to sponsor, because it is the key through which we can continue to move this message forward. And if you believe in the message wholeheartedly, and I know this group does, then it really is a way to create an ongoing outreach campaign to keep the message moving forward, because people then take a little bit more vested interest. So sponsoring ought to be a natural progression of believing in the mission and inviting others to help you get the word out, so that there's a built-in reproduction or an incentive for reproduction by registering them as a consultant. I'm not suggesting that we register every customer, retail customer, as a consultant, but I am suggesting that we give everybody the chance to understand what is at stake. And the bigger picture here for everyone is the ongoing continuity and growth of this legacy that began in 1975. And right now, it is in our hands. Maybe 10 or 20 years from now, it'll be in the hands of the next generation. But for now, it is our responsibility to carry this message forward and be productive about it.
Thank you. It's a stewardship, isn't it, that we possess here with Niken, to share that message, take that legacy, pass it on. I just want to say, just for the sake of those that are listening on their cell phones, or perhaps are watching this via the recording because they couldn't be here in person, you'll miss out on reading the chat that's taking place. If you want access to some of Gary Lindner's resources, he's got a blog, very worthwhile tapping into, selfcarehub.com. I want to emphasize this because this was something Mike and I were chatting about. I guess towards the end of the event, I think we were kind of chatting on this subject. It was Dr. Caldwell's presentation, who's a pediatrician, and she was in Barb Satterwhite's team. She talked about this, about the challenges with modern technology and EMFs and the impact that that's having on our bodies. And of course, Dr. Linda's message as well. We were thinking our message and our tools and resources with our products that we provide for self-care is becoming so overwhelmingly relevant, but we need to be educated on what the challenges are that people are experiencing and what the solutions are that we can provide with our technologies. And selfcarehub.com through Dr. Linda, I think, will be a great tool to rely on, so that you don't need to do all of the groundwork yourself. You can rely on him a little to help you out. And then, as Gary said, and as Mike said, kind of quoting Gary, we can be healthy by choice. Why not be wealthy by choice? And use NECAN to fund our healthcare and other lifestyle demands, so that we can have a life worth living, where we can leave a legacy, where we can make a difference. So thank you very much for being with us. I hope this has given you a good snippet, a little bite of what the event was like over the weekend. Clearly, it was done very well. I want to say a huge thank you to Dave and Valerie Johnson for hosting a tremendous event, well executed, well delivered. Every speaker spoke so professionally, from the heart, with great authenticity. There was a great feeling of team and community there that was just wonderful to be a part of. If you missed out, please make sure you come again and make it a commitment to come in the future. The next event will be in San Francisco in April, and perhaps we can talk about that on the next on a call coming up very soon with Bernadette McBurney, who will be our hostess. And then, of course, there's the Orlando event thereafter. So, ladies and gentlemen, great to be a part of this great work, this great movement, this great cause, and great to be partnered up with each of you. Thank you very much, and have a great week. Take care.